Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. This week, thanks to John Greenwald, the Black Vault, we have some new documents, some internal emails, basically. A lot of it's been redacted, a lot of the information within these emails, but it's basically emails going back and forth between people within the Pentagon with relation to the famous videos that were leaked in 2017, the Gough, the FLIR video, and the gimbal video. And it's very eye-opening to see how people talk behind the scenes with regard to this. It's a lot of communication between Susan Gough, among other people. You can't really tell some of these messages. So there's redactions, and you don't know who's writing to who sometimes. But I thought it was really eye-opening. And anyway, that's what we're going to talk about here today. And here was what John Greenwald wrote on the Black Vault. He says, the Department of Defense has released a collection of internal emails in response to a Freedom of Information Act request filed by the Black Vault. The request sought all communications to or from Pentagon spokesperson Susan Gough containing the keywords gimbal, commonly misspelled, hence the variation, FLIR-1 or Gough. The records span discussions involving government officials, journalists, researchers, and private citizens, offering insight into how the Pentagon coordinated responses and navigated public interest in these Navy UAP videos. The documents include media inquiries, internal talking points, and external commentary ranging from scientific debate to allegations of misinformation. Now, there's a Twitter user and Mike Disclosure at Mike Disclosure, and he had a good breakdown of this, and we're going to go over Mike Disclosure's breakdown of all these FOIA documents, thanks to John Greenwald. And it says here, breaking, FOIA emails reveal Department of Defense gatekeeping, disinformation, and narrative control on UFOs. The question about UFOs isn't whether the truth is out there, it's about who's making sure you never get to see it. And the answer is Susan Gough, who has held the same powerful role at the Pentagon for over 16 years through 4 presidents across both political parties. She is not an elected official and does not leave her position when an administration ends. As the official spokesperson for the Department of Defense on all UAP matters, she is the person who decides what you're allowed to know. But now, thanks to a FOIA release obtained by the Black Vault, her internal emails are out, and they expose something far more troubling than just secrecy. They reveal a system of strategic narrative management, ridicule tactics, disinformation, suggestions, and insider infighting over what's really flying in our skies. Who is Susan Gough? She's no ordinary spokesperson. She served as a colonel, now she's retired, in the United States Army, and is a graduate of the United States Army War College, author of The Evolution of Strategic Influence, a paper advocating a national psychological strategy for long-term behavioral manipulation. She is an expert in psyops, trained in how to manage public perception through emotionally impactful messaging, and she's been the single point of control for UAP-related Department of Defense communications since 2009. Let that sink in. For over 16 years under Obama, Trump, Biden, and now 2025, a role immune to elections, immune to party. When the government wants to deny, spin, or delay anything about UFOs, it goes through her. She has stayed in power across both parties and serves in the role as a gatekeeper on the UAP topic. Her emails discredit, deflect, delay. Let me just stop there. Yeah, and I was looking through a lot of these messages that he's talking about here, Mike Disclosure. And yes, they are. They're loaded. They're loaded with all this kind of stuff, and we'll look at a little bit of that later. But anyway, continuing. The FOIA emails released include communication between Susan Gough, Navy Public Affairs, and other insiders reacting to press coverage, whistleblower claims, and internal disputes. Here's what they show. Narrative control. Navy PA officers deferred all UFO press inquiries to Susan Gough with instructions not to independently comment. She functioned as a choke point, ensuring no deviation from the, quote, approved line, end quote. Strategic language suppression. This is internal messaging emphasized avoiding the term UFO and downplaying UAP to unmanned aerial systems. This was done to limit future FOIA searches and public inquiry. Discrediting whistleblowers. Gough's circle repeatedly attacked Lou Elizondo, the former ATIP director, labeling him uninvolved, even though multiple insiders confirmed his role. This smear campaign was echoed in official Department of Defense statements that contradicted internal facts. Mocking scientists. The email emails show academic experts and engineers arguing about video analysis only to be met with mockery, personal insults, and gatekeeping. Disinformation by design. Even more disturbing, internal discussions reference radar spoofing, submarine-launched balloons, and electronic deception systems, including the Navy's Nemesis program. One insider even suggested that the Tic Tac UFO seen by Commander David Fravor was an inflatable decoy launched from a sub to test Navy radar. They weren't trying to figure out what the UFOs are. They were building alternative explanations in real time without evidence and suggesting them to the public. That's not science. That's PSYOP damage control. The FOIA documents reference or include Susan Gough, the DoD Public Affairs Central Narrative Gatekeeper, John Greenwald, FOIA researcher, Black Vault founder, Lou Elizondo, the former ATIP lead and a whistleblower, Dr. Hal Puthoff, a theoretical physicist involved with ATIP, Dr. Eric Davis, astrophysicist, co-author of UAP briefings, referenced frequently. Joseph Gradisher, Navy spokesman, confirms Gough bottlenecks press access. Mike Turber, private researcher, asserting balloon/radar spoofing theories. Yeah, we'll talk about that guy in a minute here. Jack Sarfati, a theoretical physicist, part of academic disputes over warp physics. Thomas Wanzer, a Cal State Fullerton, mentioned in defense of Gough's critics. Christopher Mellon, an ex-Department Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence. And Tom DeLonge, musician and To the Stars Academy founder, criticized in email chains. Several of these were mocked, dismissed, or accused of Dunning-Kruger syndrome by internal voices when they challenged the party line. The Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias where individuals with low ability in a specific area overestimate their skills and knowledge. This occurs because they lack the self-awareness to accurately assess their own competence. Yeah, basically that's what they do. They throw out this, hey, yeah, he suffers. When you read through this, they're talking about. You hear that a lot. You read that a lot through these documents. It's mentioned the Dunning-Kruger effect. Oh yeah, he must have Dunning-Kruger effect. He thinks he knows what he's talking about, but he really doesn't, and he's overcompensating for it basically. So that's what they're saying here. But anyway, continuing here, it says, why this matters. This isn't just about Susan Gough. It's about a structure that treats public awareness as a national security liability, even when that structure contradicts its own pilots, radar, data, and intelligence. For decades, we've asked, why haven't we gotten disclosure? These emails answer that. The bottom line, the public is not being told the truth, not because the truth is unknown, but because it's being managed by a gatekeeper who doesn't have to worry about getting elected to keep her job. And so I thought this was really interesting, and he also had the link. I'll leave the links for this post as well as to the Black Vault where John Greenwald had this posted. You can get, there's two sets of documents that he has on there that you could download and read through, and I think they're really interesting. Now, regarding one of the people that was mentioned here, this Mike Turber, I just want to point out who this guy is. Now this is just something this is from a podcast in 2021, The Hidden Truth with Jim Breslow. And I didn't listen to this podcast, but all I did was read the description for it, and that's all you need to really see. Basically, he's a former Air Force intelligence specialist, Mike Turber, and he now admits he made up a story that he told us in 2019 that the Tic Tac UAP seen by the Navy off the coast of San Diego are incredible United States anti-gravity craft, including that he rode in one and former President Trump was president at the time, had one flown to North Korea to scare Kim Jong-un. He says he fibbed as part of a plan to bring out the truth. And now he returns with a new story. The UAPs are actually balloons and part of a new United States spoofing technology. Now, of course, again, Mike Turber, former Air Force intelligence specialist, and he came out in 2019 and he stated that, that they're incredible anti-gravity craft, and they flew one over to North Korea to scare Kim Jong-un, and then later on, a year later, he says, "Oh, I was just lying about that. We're just trying to scare North Korea," and really, that the Tic Tac was a balloon. But anyway, in one of the documents, this is what there was some stuff from him in there. And he was writing with regard to those three Pentagon videos from 2017, and he basically tried to debunk all of them and make anybody who thinks otherwise that they're stupid. Basically, that's what this message says. That's the spirit of this email message. It says, "So I've had some time to study the three videos, and so far the results won't make a lot of people happy. Number one, Gough appears to be a 6 to 8 foot weather balloon moving along at less than 80 miles per hour and is at about 13,000 feet. It is not doing 500 plus knots at near the surface. Range shows 4.4 nautical miles with the 26-degree angle, and the plane with the FLIR is at 25,000 feet. Do the math. This was a peer review of Mick West video, so basically he's agreeing with what Mick West reported on this. The Gough video is a truly sad failure on the to the Stars Academy part. With all the talent they have, no one could figure out that the object nowhere near the surface is as they claimed. Number two, FLIR 1 or the Tic Tac video was analyzed by me, and I was lucky enough to acquire FLIR video of an F-18 banking left from a video by David Fauch. Here is my video comparing the two, and there was links for a video that he did back in 2020 on YouTube, and here's a screenshot of the. He's trying to say that these two things look the same. I don't see that they look the same at all. I mean, this is pure absolute gaslighting. Anyway, he continues here. He says, the logs show another F-18 was in the area at the same time. The similarities are too much to discount. Basically, that's absolute gaslighting. That's like telling you you're looking at you're looking at an apple here and an orange here, and you say, no, they're the same thing, see? See, it's like conditioning. It's like manufactured consent. Number three, gimbal appears to have two issues. The object appears to be a plane turning at a distance, and the FLIR pod has a lens that is rotating, causing the flare to rotate as well. Mick West appears to be right on this as well. So without the testimony of the Navy pilots and others, we are left with the original three videos that show absolutely nothing extraordinary. Yeah, we're still debating those videos to this day, by the way. I just want to point that out. And this guy's absolutely lying. I think, Mike Turber, you're a dummy and you're a liar. How's that? How do you like those apples? And Susan Gough, guess what? I have something to say to you, too. When I sent a message out, it was a year ago. It was a year ago this month. I sent an email message to the Pentagon, to Susan Gough, by the way, to the Department of Defense via Susan Gough. That's where I sent it. I talked about this in previous shows, explaining the situation with the Las Vegas alien incident, explaining that this provides absolute proof that there's a non-human intelligence here on this planet. There's no question about it. And all of that, the totality of all the evidence associated with that case proves it. Of course, the Department of Defense never returned that email, never got a response. Also sent a courtesy copy to the Department of Energy as well, and I never received anything from Susan Gough. And also I reached just more recently. Through my local United States representative, I sent a letter to the UAP caucus. I want the UAP. I was told it was sent off to Washington, so the members of the UAP caucus, I wonder if they're even aware of it. I laid out the whole case for them too. I haven't heard anything. And I'll tell you what, I mean, of course, I understand, like I've been talking about. I mean, obviously, the Las Vegas alien incident proves beyond any doubt whatsoever that we're not alone. There's absolutely no question about this. And Susan Gough and the Department of Defense have not commented on it, and they can't. They cannot. They can't. They could. I mean, yeah, with something like the FLIR and the gimbal. I mean, because that's those kind of things. It's hard to say. You know what that it could be something. You could get away with trying to trick somebody into thinking it's a balloon. But for anyone who were to sit down and absorb the totality of the evidence with relation to the Las Vegas alien incident, they're going to walk away knowing, wow, we're not alone. There were really aliens here, real non-human intelligence, non-human intelligent creatures, and most certainly in that family's backyard back in 2023. There's no doubt about it. Absolutely no question. So that's why they can't respond. But anyway, I just did a little research. I was just trying to understand, like, why maybe would they not respond to this? Like, what would be the reasoning? And we're going to pull that up here on the screen right now. Why would governments say nothing, absolutely nothing, when you present them with something? That was the question I laid out here on Google, on Google's AI program. You know, basically the first question I had asked was, how do governments respond to ironclad evidence that exposes them of hiding something, right? And it gave me a whole menu of different possible reasons. And then I asked this question: why would governments say absolutely nothing? And this is what I got. It says, governments might choose to say absolutely nothing when confronted with evidence of hiding something for a variety of reasons, some strategic and some less so. Here are some of the potential motivations behind government silence. Now, before we continue here, I just want to point out that, it's very clear why they won't respond to this. I mean, they don't want to put any attention. That's just my feeling on it, right? They don't want to put any attention on this because if they say anything, they try to deny it, right? And then all of a sudden you have other people like me coming back and saying, but what about this, and this, and this? And then all of a sudden the public's saying, hey, what's this guy talking about? So they want to keep this into the background here. And that's fine. That's okay. But that's they haven't responded. They don't talk about it. No one's come forward and said, "Hey, you're just crazy. You're stupid." I mean, they won't even go that far, right? Because if they did, then who knows what might happen? I might file a lawsuit for slander, right? I mean, that might happen. I don't think I would do that, but they might think that I might do something like that. They might. I mean, it depends on what happens, right? Anybody would. If somebody is told that, hey, he's just stupid and dumb, doesn't know what he's talking about, well. Then we could go to court and we'll see if I knew what I was talking about or not, right? So they don't want to say anything. They don't want to put any attention on this story. Yeah, they'll try to make fun of people who say that there's that the gimbal, the Gough and the FLIR objects, the UFOs that are seen in those videos. They could say, yeah, it could be a balloon, could be a plane, could be whatever, right? It's nonsense, right? Of course, but at the same time, they can get away with that, but they wouldn't be able to get away with something like that with this evidence. There's absolutely no way. Anybody who's followed this story, right, since I've been talking about it, or maybe even just found out about it, whatever the case, you will realize once you absorb all of the evidence that there's no way that anyone's going to be able to disprove this, right? And that's why they can't talk about it. So let's see what AI had to say about this. Okay, number one, avoiding confirmation or admission, preventing legal or political consequences. Remaining silent avoids formally admitting guilt or wrongdoing, which could trigger legal action, investigations, or political fallout. For example, if the evidence points to illegal activities, acknowledging it could open the door to prosecution or impeachment proceedings. Now, just before I continue here, I just also want to point out that the government had nothing to do with the Las Vegas alien incident. Here's what I was trying to explain to the Department of Defense, as well as to the UAP caucus more recently, is that what it does show is that there's a non-human intelligent presence here in this country that touched down on ground in the United States of America, in Las Vegas, Nevada, which happens to be a state that's part of the United States. And the government has to know about this. They have to know about this. They actually ended up, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department for a period of time had installed Homeland Security cameras after this incident happened. The government knows about this. It has been proven by crime scene reconstruction expert Scott Roeder and his team, showing that the video wasn't fake, the cell phone footage wasn't fake. We also were able to determine that the object that fell from the sky wasn't the meteor, as I've talked about a million times on here, right? So it has nothing to do, the government had nothing to do with that, I don't think, unless they were responsible for causing that object to fall down, perhaps, maybe, I don't know, nobody really knows. Something caused that object to come to the ground, come down, make a hard landing in that backyard. By the time the family calls 911, by the time the cops get there, the creatures and object is gone. Okay, apparently. But my point is that I wanted to see what the government had to say about this. They for all these decades, they're saying they know nothing about any aliens, NHI, whatever, UFOs. It's all phony. There's no reverse engineering. There's no crash retrieval program. But okay, if you don't know anything about it, how do you explain this? How does the Department of Defense, which has an annual budget right now of almost $1 trillion, right? How does it not know about these kind of things? And I do. So, some guy sitting in his office here, right, talking about this stuff online. How come I know it and a lot of other people know it, except the Department of Defense, which has $1 trillion budget, right, doesn't know it? That was the question. But they never responded. They know that if they do, that it's basically disclosure. Then because everyone's going to look at it then and say, whoa. Right, and they're going to realize if the government lies about it, people are going to know that they're lying about it. They're going to know that they're being gaslighted because they're going to see the aliens that you see in the video. Okay, so moving on with what AI said here. It says another reason they might avoid confirmation or admission is preventing a widespread panic. In cases where the hidden information could cause significant public panic or social disruption, like certain health crises or national security threats, governments might remain silent to avoid triggering chaos and uncontrolled reactions. Well, let me just point out, I don't think it's going to cause widespread panic because This has been out there for over a year now. We've been able to determine that the incident happened over 2 years ago, but it was only about 14 months ago when we were able to show that this actually does provide absolute proof to the NHI presence on Earth, right? But as far as I know, I never got any feedback saying, hey, I went crazy and I'm panicking and out in the streets now because of what you showed me. I didn't get anything like that. So I just want to point that out. But then then the next one here, controlling the narrative by denying. Silence is a way to effectively deny the information's validity without explicitly refuting it. This can sometimes be more effective than a direct denial, which can draw further attention and potentially lead to more questions and demands for evidence. I think that's the one that applies to what's been going on here. That's what I think. Controlling the narrative by denying. Silence is the way. Say nothing at all. Don't even talk about it, And then number 2 here says managing public perception and trust. Hoping the story will die down, avoiding legitimizing the evidence. By not responding, the government can implicitly suggest that the evidence is not credible or worthy of a response. Yeah, that applies here, I think. And the first one there, governments might remain silent in the hope that the issue will eventually fade from public attention in the media cycle. They might be waiting it out. Maybe they'll hope that I drop dead or something, or everybody connected to the case who has been researching it, they could hope for those kinds of things, or that we get sick of talking about it. I don't know. I can't see myself getting sick of talking about the best proof ever, right? That shows that there's NHI is real. I mean, I can't see me ever stopping talking about it. I'm still trying to figure out why no one else is talking about it. Maintaining an image of strength and control. In some cases, governments might maintain silence to project an image of strength and control, implying that they are not swayed by public pressure or accusation. And then it talks about number 3 here, strategic considerations, protecting national security. Governments may withhold info and remain silent to protect national security interests. Protecting ongoing investigations, leveraging the right to remain silent, protecting sources and methods. I don't think that has anything to do with this situation. Number 4, practical challenges, lack of information. In some instances, the government may not have a complete picture of the situation themselves, and a premature response could be inaccurate or lead to further complications. Well, I think they had enough time. I think at this point they've had enough time. The next one here, difficulty in formulating a coherent response. I think that one applies. If the situation is complex or involves multiple departments or agencies, it can be challenging to formulate a unified and consistent response, leading to a decision to remain silent. Yes. What are they going to say when they know it absolutely proves this? What are they going to say when they've been covering it up for all these decades, and all of a sudden there's evidence that shows that there's NHI here? What do you say now? Okay, nothing. That's what's been going on. Nothing. And then finally, it wraps up this way. It says, however, it is crucial to recognize that government silence also carries significant risks. Erosion of public trust. Silence can breed suspicion and distrust among the public, potentially leading to increased cynicism and disillusionment with the government. Well, that's happened and never stopped with this phenomenon. Fueling conspiracy theories. When information is withheld, it can create an information vacuum that is often filled by speculation and conspiracy theories. Exactly what I'm doing now. Speculation. Damage to reputation and credibility. Prolonged silence in the face of mounting evidence can severely damage the government's reputation and credibility, both domestically and internationally. Increased scrutiny and pressure. Silence can invite further scrutiny and pressure from the media, civil society organizations, and other stakeholders, potentially leading to more damaging revelations or investigations. I don't think we need to worry about the media, folks. I really don't. I think they're in lockstep with the Pentagon on this, it seems, for the most part. I mean, I know there's a couple of exceptions, but for the most part. And then legal consequences. In some cases, prolonged silence or stonewalling can lead to legal action, forcing the government to disclose information or face penalties. I don't think they have any concern with that right there whatsoever. But I think some of those other ones that I was talking about, they do apply. Anyway, it says this. Ultimately, the decision of whether to respond or remain silent is a complex one with potential benefits and drawbacks. Governments weigh these factors carefully, often behind closed doors when faced with evidence that threatens to expose their hidden actions. And I'm sure there has been a discussion. But let me just tell you something. We have the proof here. And if they want to talk about Dunning-Kruger effects in this one, well, let me tell you about Dunning-Kruger. In fact, I have new names for some of the aliens that are in that video. We used to call this guy here, the one that appears above the fence. I used to call this guy Lurch above the fence. Meet Dunning. We're going to call this one Dunning. Okay. Now, And then this one here, the one in the background here, the one that looks just like just like the one of the aliens that the Allagash Four were had seen, who abducted them back in 1976. This one here, yeah, we're gonna call this one Kruger, okay? And I guess and you know what, we're gonna keep UB, the undeniable backbreaker. We'll let him keep his name. We'll let him keep his name. So there you go. There you go, Susan Go in the Department of Defense. Meet Dunning, okay, meet Kruger, and now also let me introduce you to UB, the undeniable backbreaker. There you go. Anyway, I just want to say this. I want to say thank you for joining me today. Until next time.